Hello yogis, welcome back to your mat. My name is Krista and thank you so much for joining me today in this heart-opening flow. Some props you will need for today's practice is maybe some blocks. I will be using them throughout the practice, but if you don't need them, please feel free to leave them aside. And as always, you can find a musical playlist linked down below. I just have it linked to one of the playlists on my Spotify. So if you would like to listen to some nice tunes throughout this practice, feel free to give that a listen. Because our main focus today is going to be the heart, there is going to be a lot of nice juicy heart openers, which means we are going to explore some back bends. And this practice is suitable for beginners. So let's just get started in a seated position. I'm sitting up on a block. Just sit in any comfortable seat that is calling out to you today. And once you arrive there, just close down the windows of the eyes, place your hands on top of your thighs, and just start to rub up and down the thighs with your hands. And just notice how the hand moves and glides across the leg, bringing a bit of warmth into the hands and into the legs. And then gently find some stillness, rest your hands, and just feel that after effect, that tingling rushing into each and every fingertip. And just take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Fill up your lungs, fill up your belly. And then with an open mouth, let it all go. And feel your shoulders drop further away from your ears. And I want you to pay attention to your heart space. And just notice what is coming up for you physically here. Is there any tightness in the chest? And how is your breathing in this area? And then start to bring awareness into any emotion that's coming up for you in this space. Is your heart feeling heavy? Is it feeling hurt or broken? Or maybe it's feeling light and hopeful. And just wherever you are with your physical sensation and your emotional, I want you to just sit with that. Without trying to give any explanation as to why, just allow it to be. And take a generous, loving breath in through your nose. Fill up your entirety of the heart, of the chest, of the lungs. And then with a big exhale, anything that you don't want to bring into this practice, just let it all go. And if you need to do that a few more times, please feel free to do that. And we'll just very gently open up the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes. And we'll start our practice today by warming up through the hands and the wrists. So you're just going to start keeping the forearms nice and straight, just making some circles with the wrists, moving in one direction And we don't want to do this kind of motion because we're not actually making circles. What you end up doing is just essentially going up and down. So you want to keep the forearm still and then just have those rotations come through the wrist joint itself. And however you're moving, start to move in the opposite direction. And then we'll do a little fun one that really starts to wake up the hands and the arms. Start to extend your arms out in front of you. Palms face forward, fingers reaching back towards your face. Okay, and then from here, keeping your arms straight, just start to open and close the hands. Yeah. Keep reaching the top of the palm back towards you. You might start to feel this into the hands and into the forearms, so really waking up through all the muscles. And this is in preparation for our practice today, as we're going to be on our hands. We want to make sure this area is really well warmed up. So yeah, it might feel a little bit tight now. Keep going. Beautiful. And then just relax and just bring the tops of the hands to your thighs or onto the floor, just to give a little bit of a relief into the forearm. Awesome. And if you're sitting up on a block, we're going to meet in tabletop. As you come into tabletop, just make sure your hips are over your knees and your shoulders are over your wrists, just so you have a nice, strong foundation in your tabletop. And we're going to wake up through the spine here. So start to lift your tailbone up. Allow your belly to drop. Lift the chest and lift the crown of the head up towards the sky. And then start to tuck your tailbone between your legs. Hollow out through your belly, puff up your upper back, and then tuck your chin in towards your chest. And just keep moving with your breath with these movements. So with your cow pose, lift the tailbone, lift your gaze on the inhale. And then on the exhale, start to round your spine. And as you move through your cow pose, I want you to think of energetically trying to slide your hands back towards your knees. And this is going to bring a nice stretch in through the front of the body. And then as you find your cat pose, think of energetically trying to pull your hands towards the top of your mat. Beautiful. Just keep moving with your breath here. And then start to take some organic movement into your cat-cow. So maybe you start to roll the spine. Maybe you start to shift your weight side to side. So leaning more of your weight into one hand and then the other. Or maybe you take it forward and back. But just keep moving in that cat-cow motion. Allow your head to roll, your hips to sway. And just close the eyes here and just notice how this movement feels in your body. Really following that intuition with what your body needs in this moment. And the last few rounds here. And then we'll meet in a child's pose. So untuck the toes, bring the big toes to touch. Knees at a comfortable distance apart, and then start to sit the hips down. Reach the arms forward as you rest your forehead onto the mat. And just spend a few moments here and just breathe. On your next inhale, come back up to tabletop. Tuck your toes under. And we're going to find a hovering cat-cow. So if this becomes at any point too much, feel free to bring the knees back down onto the mat. But we're really going to start to transition our weight into our hands and into our feet and start to wake up through the core. So start to push into your hands, into the ground, and then very gently lift your knees about an inch or two, hovering off of the ground. Yeah, you want to keep that nice neutral spine. And then if it's okay, maybe you start to find your cat-cow here. So on your inhale, start to lift your tailbone, lift your chest. And then exhale, round your spine. Keep your knees hovering at that inch or two mark. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Yeah, just a little challenge for the core. Beautiful. One more round here. And then find your cow pose. And then slowly start to send your hips up and back in space. And then adjust the hands, adjust the feet if you need. So I like to walk my hands a little bit more forward. And then sink your chest down towards your thighs. And just keep a little bend in your knees, just to start. Then very gently, maybe pedaling out the feet one at a time. Noticing how this first downward dog feels. Now start to look up between the thumbs and walk your feet between your hands. Coming into a forward fold. And for this first forward fold, please bring a generous bend into the knees if you need to. If the backs of your legs aren't quite warmed up yet. Allow your head to be heavy. Allow the arms to be heavy. Feel what it feels like to shift your weight into the toes. And then with your next inhale breath, fingertips to shins, just find a flat back. And then exhale, let's fold forward. Let's do that again. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold it out. Beautiful. Keep a nice bend into the knees and start to curl the spine up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Head and neck will come up last. And as you reach to the top, just give your shoulders a roll, reaching them up towards the ears, back and down. Palms face forward. And just close down the eyes here and pay attention to your feet. And maybe sway back and forth, side to side, and notice how rooted you feel into the mat. And if you can imagine roots coming out of your feet and into the ground, what kind of roots would they be? Would they be thick and tuberous and deep? Or would they be thin and shallow and cover more of the surface? And start to open your eyes here. On your inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Gaze up towards your thumbs. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down to your mat. Step your feet back, coming into a plank. Yeah, so if your hips are quite high here, think of sinking your hips down. Squeeze your bum. Tuck your tail between your legs. So you fire up the inner thighs, you're firing up the glutes. And think crown of the head reaching forward, and the heels of your feet reaching back. And maybe you start to shift your weight forward and back. Noticing what that feels like in the core and the hands. Beautiful. And then start to bend the elbows very slowly. Lower all the way down onto the floor. Setting up for our baby cobra, untuck the toes. On your inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift the chest. Breathe in. Engaging the back body here. So you want to keep your glutes a little bit engaged. With every inhale, maybe feeling your chest lift a little bit further. And then exhale, release your chest down. Beautiful. We're going to do one more just like that. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the head. Crown of your head reaching forward. Engage those back muscles. Yeah, really squeeze those shoulder blades. And then exhale, release. Push into the hands, tuck the toes. Send your hips back for downward facing dog. On your next inhale breath, start to reach that right leg up into the air, three-legged down dog. With every inhale, lift that leg a little bit higher. And with every exhale, sink that left heel down towards the floor. Beautiful. Start to draw your right knee in towards the chest and then step it through the palms. Lower that back knee down and untuck your toes. Just making sure your knee is stacked over your ankle here for a nice strong foundation as you lift your arms up overhead. So for this pose, we really want to find the stretch in through the front of the left hip crease. So if you need to, you can ease off of this pose a bit. Think of tucking your tail between your legs, and that might increase the stretch for you there. And think of squeezing your left bum cheek and then dropping your hips without trying to arch the back at the same time. Yeah, just notice how that feels. And then sweep the arms back behind you, interlace your fingers, straighten the arms, lift your heart open up towards the sky. Breathe here. Keep that left bum cheek engaged. And then exhale, release the hands. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. Exhale, hands down towards the mat. Now I'm going to reach for my blocks here. You may or may not need them. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. So we're coming into this runner's lunge. And then just starting to straighten through that front leg as you send the hips back. Inhale, come forward, coming back into your lunge. Yeah, feel that stretch into the back leg. And then send your hips back, round the spine. Think of bringing your nose to your knee. Inhale, wave forward, runner's lunge. Beautiful. One more just like that. Straighten through your front leg. Yeah, and then come on back to that lunge. And then from here, rock back, bending your back leg. Step your left foot to meet the right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Reach your arms up high. Exhale, hands down by your side. We'll do the other side. Inhale, reach your arms high overhead. Pivot from your hips, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down onto your mat. If you can think of which foot you step back the first time, step the opposite back this time. High plank. Hold here. Squeeze your bum, squeeze your inner thighs. Nice long line of energy. So if someone were to come and try and push you over, you're so strong in this pose. Keep breathing. For 3, for 2, And for 1, bend the elbows, squeeze them alongside the ribs, lower down onto the belly. Bring your hands alongside the body, palms face down. Bring your big toes to touch. On your inhale, start to lift the head, lift the chest. Maybe start to fly the legs behind you. And if that's okay, maybe you start to fly the arms as well. Think of squeezing those shoulder blades together, activating your entire back body here. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Beautiful. One more breath here. Exhale, lower down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, let's lift everything up. And this time, just find a slight bend in the knees. Yeah, feel your pelvis drop into the floor. Feel your hamstrings engage. For 3, for 2, and for 1, release. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Push back, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Bring the big toes to touch. Left leg reaches high into the air. Keep reaching that leg further. And then draw that knee in towards the body as you step it between your palms. Come down on that back leg. With your next inhale, start to rise. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Remember that those cues from that first side. So we really want to think about tucking our tail, squeezing our right bum cheek here. And then sweep the arms back behind you, interlace the fingers, press your heart forward. Keep reaching the hands back down towards your back leg. With every inhale, find length. And with every exhale, allow your body to surrender further. Beautiful. Gently release the hands. Lift your hands high. Bring your hands down to the floor. Reach for your blocks if you need them. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee. Start to send your hips back, keeping the pelvis square to the top of your mat. Beautiful. Let's wave forward, coming into a lunge. Send the hips back as you straighten the legs. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Beautiful. Ripple forward, runner's lunge. Yeah, let's shift it back. And then come forward. Rock back. Step your right foot to meet the left. Move your props off to the side if you have them. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let's fold it out. On strong feet, strong legs, root to rise. Inhale, reach up overhead. Exhale, hands down by your side. Inhale, reach up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, hands down onto the mat, step back. High plank. Exhale, lower down onto your belly. Option is stay with those first 2 back bends, or press the tops of the feet into your mat. Push into the hands to pull your chest forward and through. Hover your thighs, your legs off of your mat for upward facing dog. Exhale, curl the toes, downward facing dog. Bring the big toes to touch. Reach the right leg high into the air. Open up that hip so the hips stack one on top of the other. And then bend that top leg, reaching the knee up towards the ceiling. Beautiful. Left heel reaches down towards the ground, finding those opposing forces in the body. And then square your hips, straighten that right leg. Step forward. foot between the hands. Setting up that strong foundation, again, knee over ankle. And on your inhale, start to push your feet into the mat and rise all the way up. Reach the arms overhead, crescent lunge. From here, we're going to find warrior two. Bring your back heel down. Open up the arms in line with the shoulders to find your warrior two. That front knee tracks to the pinky toe edge of your front foot. Yeah, think of dragging your feet towards each other energetically to really wake up through the legs. Flip the front palm, let's reverse it. Take your reach up and back. Windmill the palms down. Plant your left hand beside the right foot. Pivot onto the back toes. Right arm reaches up towards the sky. Beautiful. Now we're going to step back to a side plank. You can heel toe that top foot back, or step it back, coming in front of the left foot. Staggering the feet is going to be easy. If this is too hard, bring that bottom knee down. Option is stay here, or that front leg, bring it back behind you. So you're stepping that foot to the other side of that back leg. Now from here, reach that right arm overhead, finding a nice side stretch. Option to find wild thing here as you spiral your chest and your pelvis open up towards the sky. Breathe here. And then exhale, find the right hand onto the mat. Step that right foot down to meet the left, high plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe. Slow, steady breathing before we move into the other side. Bring your big toes to touch. Inhale, left leg reaches high into the air. Open up that hip, bend the knee. Keep reaching that knee up towards the sky higher as you float the right heel down towards your mat. Draw that knee in towards the chest. Step through the palms, setting up that nice strong foundation in the legs. Inhale, start to rise up, reach the arms overhead, crescent lunge. Stay here for a breath. Pivot the back heel down. Open up the arms, warrior two. Feel that energy reaching out through the arms, but the legs are pulling in towards each other. Keep breathing. Flip the front palm, take your reach up and back. Beautiful. Windmill the palms down. Right hand meets the earth. Pivot onto the toes, left hand up. Step or heel toe that front foot back, coming into side plank. Coming on the outside of the right foot, inside of left. Option to bring the back knee down. From here, that front leg, that left leg, step it behind you. Reach the left arm forward to the top of your mat. Feel a nice side body stretch. Lift your ribs up towards the sky. Option to stay here, start to spiral your heart, your pelvis up facing the sky. Breathe. Look towards your mat, place the left hand down, pivot the left foot back to meet the right. Exhale down. Inhale for your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Start to walk your feet up to meet your hands. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Reach your arms overhead. Exhale, hands down by your side. Now we're going to find dancer's pose. So bring your right arm out to the side, palm facing out, thumb pointed back. So we're externally rotating that arm. That left hand's going to come up towards the sky. Shift your weight into your left leg. Bend the right knee and see if you can reach for the inside arch of the right foot. Yeah, and just stay here for a moment. Get your balance. Notice how that feels in the body. Maybe you just stay here, and that's a really deep stretch into the front of that right leg. If you think you can go a little bit further, start to kick your foot into your hand. Yeah, and then you're going to start to hinge from that left hip joint, and that left arm is going to reach forward. Beautiful. Keep your gaze on something nice and steady. Keep breathing. And then slowly exhale. Come all the way back up. Don't release that foot yet. Bring your right hand up to meet the left. Relax the hands so the wrists point up towards the sky. And then draw that right knee up to hip height. This is called stork pose. Flex your right foot and then cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Draw the fingertips to touch. Sink your bum back as you bring a slight bend into that left leg. Finding a nice stretch in through that right hip. Maybe you play with bending that left leg a little bit more. Maybe you play with hinging forward with the chest. If flying pigeon is in your practice, you can play with it now. Keep breathing. Slowly come all the way back up. Reach the arms high. Bring that right knee to hip height, and then step it down to meet the left. Drop your arms by your side. Give your legs and your arms a shake. Beautiful. We're going to do that on the other side. So this time, shifting our weight into our right foot, bringing our left arm out to the side, thumb pointed back, palm facing out, and my right arm's going to reach up overhead. Start to bring a bend into that left leg. Reach for the inner arch of that foot. Option to stay here and think of, again, tucking your tail, and that might make you feel the stretch in the front of that left hip. If you think you want to go a little further, start to kick that foot into your hand. And then hinge from that hip crease, reaching your right arm forward. Keep kicking back. Gaze. Keep breathing. And if you fall, that is totally okay. Just begin again. Stay for one last breath. And then to come out, very gently unravel yourself here. Reach both arms up, wrists pointed up towards the sky. Draw that left leg up towards hip height. Flex the ankle and then cross over the right thigh. Bring your fingertips to touch in front of your heart. Yeah, bend that standing leg. Feel both hips working here to keep yourself balanced. Really exploring depth. Last 2 breaths here. Slowly rise on up. Oh, try and keep your balance. Hands reach up towards the sky, knee up to hip height, and then drop it down. Shake out the legs. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, fold, hands onto the mat. Step back to a high plank. Last one, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Draw both knees down onto the floor. Now we're going to find our last heart opener for today. And it's going to be our camel pose. So camel pose can be quite intense. So I am going to give you a few different variations to play with here. So just starting with a more gentle variation for everyone. Just coming up on to the knees. Option to keep your toes tucked under or feet flat. It's totally up to you. And just bring your hands onto your low back, almost like right where your jean pockets would be. And think of rolling the shoulders back together. Squeeze the elbows together. And just start to lift your heart up open towards the sky. And then with the pelvis, before you start to lean back, think of tucking your tail. You want to think of lengthening that tailbone down towards the floor. Yeah, and really try to think of equally distributing the bend in the back through the entire spine and not just in the low back. Keep your chin tucked towards your chest. Beautiful, keep breathing. And then exhale to come out. Just come up to a neutral spine. Untuck the toes if you have them, and just sit back onto the heels just for a moment. We're not going to find that deep rebound shape yet. We're going to try this pose one more time. And I'm going to give a little bit more variation for it. So coming back up into that position, if you have blocks, I would suggest you use them. If you need them, maybe not. And just bring them just to your ankles or to like the heels of your feet. And I use it on the highest height. Again, you can play with what feels good. So same thing, I really want to think about tucking my tail, lengthening my spine, so reaching my heart up forward. And you can stay here with the hands to your low back. Again, retracting the shoulder blades. With every inhale, find length, and with every exhale, maybe finding a deeper back bend. And you want to think as though if there was a wall in front of you, your pelvis and your thighs would stay glued to that wall. So I'm just going to gently turn my head to look back for my blocks. And you want to think of externally rotating the hands here, just like we did in our dancer's pose. Palms face out, thumbs pointed back. I'm going to reach back for my blocks. I'm going to press my pelvis forward, send my heart up towards the sky, and then if it's okay for your neck, drop your head back. To come out, slowly bring one hand at a time to your low back. Lift your head very gently as you come up to stand. And then untuck your toes, drop your heels towards your bum. Coming into a rounded child's pose. So I'm going to bring my forehead down to the mat and hands alongside the body. And just breathe into this back space here. Oftentimes we think of the heart as being in the front of the body, in front of the chest, but we really don't pay attention to the back of the heart. So this rounding, think of sending the breath in through the spine, in through that space, the upper back, where the heart resides. Bring your hands underneath the shoulders. Come back up into a tabletop position. We're just going to find a thread the needle pose. So from here, start to reach that left arm up towards the sky, opening up to the left side of your mat. And then exhale, thread that left arm through, coming to lay your left ear, your left shoulder down. And just breathe here. Option is stay here or start to extend that right leg, keeping the toes on the mat. Maybe you play with flying that right leg into the air. It's a very fine balance point. And that right arm can reach up towards the sky or finding a half bind, wrapping it around the low back, reaching for the opposite hip. And if you fall, you just kind of tend to roll on your back. So it's not a very scary one. Bring that right hand down towards the floor, just to support you as you lower that right foot down. Bend that right leg, push into the right hand. Lift the left arm up as you unravel. Come back to table. Let's do that on the other side. Inhale, right arm reaches high. Exhale, thread your needle. Right ear towards the mat. Option to just stay here. Or start to extend that left leg. Keep the toes on the mat to start, and then lift the leg up in space. Come light on the left fingertips. Option is stay or reach that arm up into the air, or find a half bind. Beautiful. Left fingertips float down towards the mat. Left toes followed by the left knee. Push into the left hand. Release that right side. Drop your hand down towards your mat. Just coming onto your bum. Sit towards the top of your mat. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And just bring your hands onto your knees. Or give yourself a little hug and just allow the spine to round. Just with all that heart opening, the back bending. Just allowing a chance for your body to release. And then very slowly, we'll start to curl the spine down, coming all the way onto our back. Extend the legs long. And just tuck your shoulders underneath you and rest your arms alongside the body, palms face up. And if you have the space, feel free to take up as much room as you need. Close down your eyes. And just breathe here. That is all you need to do. Just breathe. Feel the body. Feel your breath move in and out of you. And I want you to come back to your heart space. And notice if anything has changed. Does it feel a little bit different now that we've allowed it to open and expand? Now that we've allowed it to be vulnerable? And I want you to be kind to yourself and just take a moment to thank yourself. Thank your body for guiding you through this practice. for loving all that it did for you. And just spend this moment to say, I love you, body. You are strong. I love you, body. Thank you for being there for me. I love you, body. Thank you for supporting me and getting me through this. And then I want you to radiate that love that you've built for yourself and start to radiate it to people around you that are in your life. What is it that you love them for? How do they make your heart feel? And just spend these next few moments just settling into some stillness. And just allow yourself some reflection. Where can my heart be a little bit more open? A little bit more kind? A little bit more joyful? And just take this time to thank yourselves for making it onto your mat, for moving with your breath, for honoring your breath and your body, for wherever you met yourself in your practice today. May the light in me honor and cherish the light that is in you. Namaste.